Ja, hi und herzlich willkommen wieder zurück zu The Stanley Parable. Ich habe gesagt, wir hören hier auf oder machen jetzt hier weiter. Es ist verrückt, dass jetzt auf einmal so viel hier liegt, aber ich
How
glaube,
wonderful. Stanley was alone.
Yeah.
Finally. This is great, he thought to himself. This is what I've wanted all along. I got what I wanted.
das sieht jetzt hier so aus, weil die Bombe geplatzt ist. Wortwörtlich. Aber guckt, jetzt ist das Ding hier auch aus. Also das ist schon verrückt, was jetzt hier alles war oder passiert ist. Ich würde sagen, wir gehen einfach nochmal den Weg entlang. Ich war jetzt gerade irritiert von in einem Bild. Und schwuppdiwupp,
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Wollen wir nochmal den Weg? Nee, ich habe keinen Bock mehr auf das
This was not the
Bombenspiel.
correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge
Ich
first,
ignoriere
just to
mal
admire
komplett
it.
seine Dinge heute.
Wow. Yes, this room.
Ich kenne
But
mich schon
eager to get
aus.
back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Nö, diesmal höre ich nicht auf dich. Ich laufe durchgängig.
Stanley was so
Andere Türen
bad at
entlang.
following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Guck dir hier das Lagersystem an. Da passt sogar Autos rein. Also, klar, das hat man schon letztens gesehen, aber solche Autos sollen irgendwie da drüber kommen. Interessant. Ich habe keine Ahnung wie. Wir können ja eh nicht hüpfen. Da ist keine Tür.
Look,
Oh,
Stanley, I think
okay.
perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize, but in his eagerness to
Oops.
prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death. Good job, Stanley. Everyone thinks you are very powerful.
Hoppala. Ich wusste nicht, dass man da runterfallen kann. Also, ja, immerhin ist jetzt wieder aufgeräumt, ne? Da hat die
All of
Reinigungskraft
his co-workers were gone. What could it
gute Arbeit
mean?
geleistet.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Ich höre trotzdem nicht auf den. Ich mache das diesmal durchgängig, dass ich jetzt wirklich auf den nicht höre. Aber diesmal bleibe ich auf der Plattform, falls ihr jetzt
When
noch
Stanley
da ist.
came to a set of two open, this was not the correct way to the
Ich
meeting room, and
weiß.
Stanley knew it perfectly well.
Ich
Perhaps
rush
he
jetzt
wanted to
einfach
stop
mal
by the
durch.
employee lounge first, just to admire it. The lounge was sublime, a work of art. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his
Nein.
left.
Diesmal bleibe ich auf der Plattform. Versprochen.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Ja, hier steht es auch. Warning, do not jump. Wir können ja eh nicht springen, aber
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot
da sollen wir
here.
rein.
I'm not your enemy, really, I'm
Ihr
not.
seid die einzige
I realize that investing your trust in someone
Ja.
else can be difficult, but the fact is
Kumpel.
that the story has
Oh, nee,
been
da ist
about
noch einer.
nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting,
Will,
Stanley.
dass wir da reingehen?
Someone you've forgotten.
Ich aber nicht.
What? Really? I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance. Now listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door.
Ich mag aber blau lieber.
Aha, perhaps you misunderstood. Stanley walked through the red door.
Nein.
I still don't think we're communicating properly. Stanley walked through the red door.
Öffne die Tür. Manu. Okay, jetzt müssen wir ja
Oh,
gezwungenermaßen da
thank
rein.
God you are willing to listen to me. Do you see that I really have wanted you to be happy all this time? The problem is all these choices. The two of us always trying to get somewhere that isn't here. Running and running and running, just the way you're doing right now. Don't you see that it's killing us, Stanley? I wanted to stop. We would both be so much happier if we just stopped. And I
Nein.
think I have a solution. Here.
So,
Let me show you.
ich lauf mal weiter. Lol. Ja, ich sehe alles so hin wie her. Okay, ich denke mal, er lässt uns wieder von vorne anfangen.
What do we want? What are we looking for?
Also jetzt wird es zu einem Horrorspiel. Ich hoffe nicht. Ich hasse Horrorspiele. Oh,
Here. Yes.
haben wir
Oh,
gewonnen?
it's beautiful, isn't it? If we just stay right here, right in this moment with this place, Stanley, I think I feel happy. I actually feel happy.
Okay. Die andere Tür ist jetzt eh weg, von daher... Schwupps.
No, wait. Where are you going?
Soll ich zurück? Kann ich überhaupt zurück? Kann man den so ärgern?
Right. Where were we? Oh no. Stay away from those stairs. If you hurt yourself, if you die, the game will reset. We'll lose all of this.
Wir wollen doch, dass das Spiel sich wiederholt. Sonst wird es doch langweilig. Und außerdem macht es Spaß, den Erzähler zu ärgern.
Please, no, Stanley, let me stay here. Don't take this from me.
Mein Leben hat keinen Sinn mehr. Das ist echt... Die wollen echt, dass ich hier Selbstmord begehe. Nur damit das Spiel wieder...
Please, Stanley, think about what you're doing.
Tja, was? Runterspringen oder wieder zurück? Na komm, ich gebe dir erstmal Hoffnung. Danach spucke ich ihn in die Suppe. Hoffentlich reagiert er drauf. Irgendwann. Okay, kann man nicht. Die wollen hier eigentlich zum Selbstmord zwingen. Komm, erzähle was. Erzähle mal.
Good, good. We can't be too safe. Promise me you won't go back there. Just stay here. No. What do we talk about? You're risking everything we achieved here.
Es ist doch lustig.
You heard me before, didn't you? You will die. What about this isn't getting through to you?
Ja, ich weiß, sowas wird jetzt... Ich weiß nicht, wie häufig der jetzt noch was dazu sagen wird. Aber er hat es ja auch schon gesagt, you will die. Nein. Okay, er reagierte nicht drauf, als ich da oben stand, aber... Ja, entweder Selbstmord oder, keine Ahnung, Erlösung. Ach komm, ich werde sagen, wir gaukeln dir nochmal was vor. Und danach... Bevor er die Tür mir hier verschließt.
You are going to stay here, aren't you?
Nö. Wir wollen ja, dass das Spiel spannend wird. Diesmal hüpfe ich wirklich runter. Das ist irgendwie... Dieses Ding erinnert mich so an Himmel- und Hölle-Konflikt. Entweder ich bleibe dort auf der Plattform und komme in den Himmel, oder ich springe runter und komme in die Hölle. Ich würde sagen, Ring frei für die Hölle.
No!
Oh!
Oh, thank God you lived. You had me worried there for a moment. Now, no, what are you doing, Stanley? Please, I'm asking you not to take this away from me. I can't go back to what I was before. If you die, we'll both go back. Why are you doing this?
Okay, damit habe ich nicht gerechnet, dass ich überlebe, aber es ist doch irgendwo lustig. Ah, komm. Nein. Oder doch? Nein. Oder doch? Doch. Yay.
Stanley, let's go back to the other room. Can you do that for me?
Oh, der ist
My
richtig.
God, is this really how much you dislike my game? That you'll throw yourself from this platform over and over to be rid of it?
Ey, wie
You were
lang macht
literally
ihr das?
willing to kill yourself to keep me from being happy. Am I reading the situation correctly?
Alle guten Dinge sind drei, oder? Wir wollen ja, guck mal, das Spiel dauert gerade mal 10 Minuten. Also ich würde sagen, wir machen noch eine Runde. Yippie!
Or
Mano!
maybe you're just getting a kick out of it. I don't know anymore. I just wanted us to get along. Do you actually want to stay alive? Or are you just teasing me? I wanted us to be happy here, Stanley. I really did. I wish I still thought that was possible.
Ja, wir können jetzt hier bleiben, aber hier passiert halt nichts. Kann man von... Nein, hier kann man nicht runterfallen. Wir müssen quasi das machen, weil hier können wir nichts machen. Wir können uns die Sterne angucken, wenn das Sterne darstellen soll, denke ich mal nicht. Und dieses Mosaik-Zeug oder was das darstellen soll, sieht aus wie Feenkacke. Egal, nee, wir bringen uns um. So einen Tinkerbell-Scheiß will ich mir nicht geben. Warum hat der auch hier keine Tür eingebaut? Ganz ehrlich, selbst schuld, dass man jetzt selbst mal beginnt. Ich glaube, das ist auch tatsächlich Ziel der Sache. Ich soll den jetzt gerade den Erzähler physisch fertig machen. Hier, guck mal, hier ist doch eine Tür. Oder eine Möglichkeit für eine Tür. Also, und tschüss.
Is it over? It's going to restart, isn't it? I'm going back.
I'm going back. Okay. Wir haben dich gerade so traurig gemacht. Er spricht nicht mehr mit uns.
Good morning. Thank you for contacting the Future Happiness Foundation. We are confirming your shipment of 1,327 cardboard boxes to your place of work. Can you verify that this is correct? Excellent. Your order will arrive shortly. Thank you again for contacting the Future Happiness Foundation.
Okay. Er redet nicht mehr mit uns, das ist ja lustig. Okay, wir haben ihn dazu gebracht, dass er uns anschweigt. So, jetzt heißt, er wird uns wahrscheinlich auch allgemein bei den Türen nicht mehr helfen.
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Gucke an. Gucke an. Nö.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee
Aber jetzt
lounge
will ich mal
first,
wissen, wo die
just to
andere
admire
Tür
it.
führt.
Standing now in this incredible room, Stanley for the first, but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Aber immerhin, er redet wieder mit uns.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
So, diesmal bleiben wir drauf und gehen mal da hinten rein. Jetzt
Look,
wissen wir,
Stanley,
was
I
da
think perhaps we've
rausgeht.
gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her.
For
This is
her?
it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself. To put your work aside. To let her back into your life. She's been waiting. That's her, Stanley. You
Mal gucken, wer da dran ist. Ganz schön hell auf einmal.
Oh, Stanley, is that you? Hold on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm just pulling the bread out of the oven.
Das ist eine selbstständige
All
Telefon.
right. Okay, there we go.
Da war
All right,
ein
now I
Jumpscare
want you to come
gerade.
in and tell me all about your
Ich wusste es. Ich hasse
Gotcha.
Puppen.
Oh, come on. Did you actually think you had a loving wife who'd want to commit their life to you? I'm trying to make a point here,
Ich gucke
Stanley.
mit Absicht nicht
I'm trying to
dahin,
get
weil
you to
ich
see something.
Ich achte mal
Come
nur auf den
inside.
Schatten.
Let me show you what's really going on here.
Bah. Nein. Ich will der Puppe nicht folgen.
Sorry, but you're in my story now.
Jetzt wird er aggressiv. Ich will nicht. Ich hasse Puppen. Ich guck die
This
nicht
is a
an.
very sad story about the death of a man named Stanley.
Was? Guten Morgen, Angestellter 427. Drücke P auf der Tastatur.
Stanley is quite a boring fellow. He has a job that demands nothing of him, and every button that he pushes is a reminder of the inconsequential nature of his existence.
Nicht mal. Ich muss den C-Knopf drücken, ich kann nichts anderes. Okay.
Look at him there, pushing buttons, doing exactly what he's told to do. Now he's pushing a
mein
button.
Büro auf.
Now he's eating lunch. Now he's going home. Now he's coming back to work. One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life.
Kann ich echt nichts anderes drücken, außer das, was der gerade einen vorschreibt.
But in his mind, he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown, fantastic discoveries of new lands. It was wonderful. And each day that he returned to work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen to him.
Drücke 4 um Fernsehen.
And so he began to fantasize about his own job. First, he imagined that one day while at work, he stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth. The thought excited him terribly.
Bitte drücke Z, um Zeit mit den Kindern zu verbringen. Bloß nicht. Kann ich echt nichts anderes drücken? Ich muss den echt Folge leisten.
So he went further. He imagined that he came to 2 open doors and that he could go through either. At last, choice. It barely even mattered what lay behind each door. The mere thought that his decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful to behold.
Puppen nicht Angst. Drücke 9 um Abendessen fortbringen.
As he wandered through this fantasy world, he began to fill it with many possible paths and destinations. Down one path lay an enormous round room with monitors and mind controls. And down another was a yellow line that weaved in many directions. And down another was a game with a baby. And he called it the Stanley Parable. It was such a wonderful fantasy, and so in his head he relived it again, and then again, and again, over and over, wishing beyond hope that it would never end, that he might always feel this free. Surely there's an answer down some new path, mustn't there be? Perhaps if he played just one more time.
Passt nicht da rein. Drücke X, um deiner Frau zu sagen, dass du sie... Oh, nimmt er sie weg?
But there is no answer. How could there possibly be?
Sehr schön.
In reality, all he's doing is pushing the same buttons he always has. Nothing has changed. The longer he spends here, the more invested he gets. The more he forgets which life is the real one.
Ich habe einen Computer gekriegt. Ich kann zocken. Bitte, nein. Endlich kommt der Rotz auch mal
And
weg.
I'm trying to tell him this. That in this world he can never be anything but an observer. That as long as he remains here, he's slowly killing himself. But he won't listen to me. He won't stop.
Das wird jetzt
Here,
wieder mein
watch
Büro.
this. Stanley, the next time the screen asks you to push a button, do not do it.
Was? Drücke 9, um morgen früh bei der Arbeit zu sein. 8, 0. Kann man das in der Uhr drücken? Das Blöde ist, ich sehe keine Maus und nichts. Ach komm.
You see?
Und schwupps.
Can he just not hear me?
Schon bin
How
ich
can I
wieder bei
tell
der
him in a way
Arbeit.
that he'll understand that every second he remains here, he's electing to kill himself? How can I get him to see what I see? How can I make him look at himself?
Drücke U, um nichts in Frage
I
zu
suppose I
stellen.
can't, not in the way I want him to. But I don't make the rules. I simply play to my intended purpose, the same as Stanley. We're not so different, I suppose. I'll try once more to convey all this to him.
Alter, das
I'm
ist eine
compelled to.
Plaudertasche.
I must. Perhaps, well, maybe this time
Komm,
you'll
mach
see.
hin, Kumpel. Ich will hier
Maybe
noch
this
was.
time.
Ich will hier noch was zeigen
And I
können.
tried again.
Bitte stopp.
And Stanley pushed a button. And I tried again. And Stanley pushed a button. And I tried.
Ich habe keinen Knopf gedrückt. Bin ich jetzt tot? I don't know. Aber er lädt und wieder ein neues Spiel. Das heißt, wir müssen jedes Mal sterben, damit ein neues Spiel beginnen kann. Wie seht
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Wie fies, dass ich keine Umwege gehen kann. Aber trotzdem den Monitor aus. Den hier auch. Die haben hier überall Kartons reingestellt.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Eine Sache haben wir aber noch nicht
This was
erforscht.
not the correct way to
Ich
the meeting
weiß.
room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire
Sind die
it.
Kartons ein, Alter.
Stanley felt lightheaded, butterflies in his stomach, but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Ja, ja.
And so he
Diesmal gehe
detoured
ich
through
nicht
the
da runter,
maintenance
sondern
section,
geradeaus.
walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
So. Hier kann man nicht weiter. Also es geht nur der eine Weg. Und
Yet
das
there
sind
was
wir.
not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Hoping he might coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Nö. Da war ich vorhin schon. Ich will nicht nochmal den Scheiß erleben.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he
höre gar nicht
taken
mehr
that
auf
risk?
das, was er
All
mir
because
sagt.
he believed
Ich will einfach nur
everyone had
wissen, wo ich hier
vanished.
wann
His boss would think he was
rauskomme.
crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley.
Schon wieder
Maybe,
derselbe
he thought
Weg.
to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single
willkommen
moment
wieder
for
hier.
no reason at all. None of it made
Wir
any
können ja nicht
logical
zurück, da
sense.
schließt er hinter uns
And
die
as Stanley
Tür.
pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that
Wissen Sie,
matter, these rooms were starting to
sogar
look
was
pretty
weggenommen.
familiar. Were they simply repeating?
Sagen
No,
wir.
Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer,
Verändert das
an
alles, so wie er
explanation.
es will.
His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all.
Und wir haben hier
And
ein
he thought to himself, I
Trinkautomat.
suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my
Und ein
boring
Auto,
real-life job pushing
manchmal,
buttons.
wo er
I may
schlafen
as well
kann.
enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How
Bitte
was he
kein-
remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the
Da können wir
strangest
dran
question of them all
schlafen, werden
entered
teilweise auch in
Stanley's
Sicherheit.
mind. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head
Alter.
dictating everything that I'm doing and
Das ist langsam
thinking?
echt belastend, nur im
Now
Kreis zu
the
rennen.
voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the
Schein
voice
wäre
speak
das,
these words was quite a shock to Stanley.
So kam das Auto
After
hier
all,
rein, aber
he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up.
Halt die Klappe.
He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment, and my wife, and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay.
No, you are die. Bitte kein Jumpscare. Ich bin mittlerweile echt bei solchen Spielen.
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black.
Everything went black. Okay. Und nun? Loading.
This is the story of a woman named Mariella.
What?
Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She rose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments, she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day. The very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
Alles klar. Bitte nicht noch einmal von vorn. Es klingt, als würde es brennen oder regnen. Ja, ich würde sagen, wir machen hier einen kleinen Cut. Und wir sehen uns in der nächsten Folge wieder. Bei The Stanley Parable, ich weiß nicht, was wir gerade ausgelöst haben, weil irgendwie höre ich gerade neue Geräusche. Ich weiß nicht, aber wir haben es jetzt auf jeden Fall einmal rausgeschafft und wir wissen, dass wir in Wahrheit eigentlich die ganze Zeit tot sind. Ja, wie gesagt, hier machen wir auf jeden Fall in der nächsten Folge weiter. Bis dahin, Freunde, wir sehen uns. Macht's gut.